Alright, welcome to my first video. I will be predicting the 2026 March Madness. This is my main bracket. There might be some upsets you guys don't like, and there might be some picks that you guys don't like that are like more chalky than others. So we're gonna see. Alright, so first, we're gonna start off with Duke. Simple, not even gonna explain that one. Ohio State versus TCU. This is a real pick 'em. 50-50 basically. Kind of a coin flip. I like the way Ohio State's been playing recently. I'm going to go with Ohio State. St. John's with Northern Iowa. Just won the Big East. Come on, you can't do that. Kansas versus CA Baptist. I thought about this one. I really want to take CA Baptist, but I can't. Got to go Kansas there. South Florida versus Louisville. This will be my first upset. I got South Florida winning. Michigan State versus North Dakota State. Don't overthink it. Michigan State. UCLA versus UCF. Again, don't overthink it. UCLA. And UConn versus Furman. Don't overthink it. Florida. Iowa versus Clemson. Another 50-50 pick 'em. I got to go with a team that I've loved, especially more than Clemson, and it's Iowa. I feel like they're going to win that one. And I believe they are the favorite. Yeah, they're picked more than... Yeah, they are the favorite. Vanderbilt versus McNeese. I want to pick McNeese, but sorry. Vanderbilt's win that. Here's my second big upset. Nebraska versus Troy. Nebraska has never won a game in NCAA history. 7 out of 8 people are picking Nebraska, but I'm going to change that and pick Troy. North Carolina versus VCU. Another upset. I have VCU winning that. No Caleb Wilson. No problem for VCU. Illinois versus Penn. Penn, they were amazing in that Ivy League final, but Illinois is going to win that. Texas A&M versus St. Mary's. I do have Texas A&M beating St. Mary's. I believe Texas A&M will surprise some people and beat St. Mary's. Houston versus Idaho. Houston. Arizona versus Long Island. Fins up, but no. Arizona, they're going to win that. Villanova versus Utah State. Another 50-50 ball. I'm going to go Utah State. Wisconsin versus High Point. Don't overthink that. Arkansas versus Hawaii. Again, don't overthink it. BYU versus Texas/NC State. I do believe NC State will win this one, but I still believe BYU will win that game. Gonzaga versus Kennesaw State. Again, I want to pick Kennesaw State. Gonzaga's not the best team. However, I'm still going to pick Gonzaga. Miami versus Missouri. I'm going to go Miami. And I got Purdue beating Queens. Here we go. Michigan versus UMBC. Another UMBC upset. I do believe they beat Howard, but they will still lose to Michigan. Georgia versus St. Louis. I do have St. Louis beating Georgia. That's going to shock some people. But I believe St. Louis is a very underrated team. Texas Tech versus Akron. Again, another upset. I have Akron. And this is probably one of the bigger upsets of the tournament. But I have Hofstra beating Alabama to play Akron. Tennessee versus Miami, Ohio. Or SMU. I do believe Miami, Ohio is going to win that. And here's another upset. I do believe Miami, Ohio is going to shock some people and beat Tennessee. I do have Virginia winning that. And I have another upset. I have Santa Clara beating Kentucky. That's a shocker in some people's bracket. And Iowa State will win that. Duke versus Ohio State. I have seen some brackets of Ohio State making it to Sweet 16 or even past that. However, Duke, can't overthink it. Cameron Boozer, they can't take them off in around 32. St. John's versus Kansas. Again, like I said, I almost had Kansas losing to CA Baptist. That's going to be a close game of California Baptist. But no, I do have St. John's. You could say an upset. I don't believe it's an upset. I mean, yeah, more people have St. John's. South Florida versus Michigan. Here we go. Some people... Actually, no, I'm picking Michigan State. I can't do it. It's going to be a really close game, though. Now, this is one. It was either this upset or that upset. And I believe UCLA does have a better chance of beating UConn. So I have UCLA beating UConn to go to Sweet 16. Florida versus Iowa. I do have Florida winning that. Vanderbilt versus Troy. The Cinderella comes to an end. Vanderbilt will win that. VCU versus Illinois. I want VCU to win that, but they're not going to beat Illinois. Texas A&M versus Houston. Houston's got that in the bag. Arizona versus Utah State. Arizona. Wisconsin versus Arkansas. probably the best game of the entire tournament, but I have Arkansas winning in a high-score battle. BYU versus Gonzaga. Here we go. We got one more upset. I have BYU beating Gonzaga. As much as I want Miami to beat Purdue, I do believe Purdue will win that. Michigan versus St. Louis. I do have Michigan win that. I think St. Louis will give them a little bit of a fight, though. Akron versus Hofstra. 12 seed versus 13 seed. I do have Akron continuing their little Cinderella run. Here we go. These last two are going to get people so mad. First, I have Virginia. That one's not that bad. I do have Santa Clara beating Iowa State and having their own Cinderella run. Duke versus St. John's. I'm going to have the Big East run continue with St. John's, and they're going to beat Duke. Michigan State versus UCLA. Their storyline comes to an end. I do have Michigan State going to Elite Eight. Florida versus Vanderbilt. I do think Florida gets revenge and beats Vanderbilt to go to Elite Eight. Illinois versus Houston. I do have Houston going to the Elite Eight once again. Here we go. Arizona versus Arkansas. I do think Arizona's season will come to an end here in the Sweet 16. I have Arkansas going to the Elite Eight. BYU versus Purdue. Once again, I have the 2 seed going down, and I believe BYU and AJ DeBanza will go on to the Elite Eight. Michigan versus Akron. It's tough, but gotta say. And I believe a 10 seed will go to Elite Eight. Santa Clara. St. John's versus Michigan State. I do have Michigan State going to the Final Four. And I will also have Houston go to the Final Four. Also Arkansas. And their Cinderella comes to an end for Santa Clara as they lose to Michigan. Here it is, the championship. I believe Arkansas will be going to a national championship. And the team I will have them playing is Houston. I believe the team that will win 2026 men's college basketball championship, it will be Arkansas. Blake Thomas, they're such an underrated team. They just won the SEC. You can't go against a team. You can't go against that type of team. I watched that whole run from them in the SEC tournament. They look unstoppable right now. I mean, they almost lost to Ole Miss, but Ole Miss was also on the run. They beat Alabama. Remember that. I do believe Arkansas will win. Maybe it's perfect. Maybe it's not. It will not be. I'm gonna say that, but I do believe this will be a good tournament for Arkansas. They could lose in the first round. They could lose in the second. I just believe they're going to make it to the championship. So I will submit that.